Okay, let's familiarise ourselves with the boiler first of all. The main water inlet from the blue pipe, cold water feed, goes into the tank at the back here, which holds a reservoir. The outlet of that reservoir is at the base down here, which is the inlet effectively to the pump, which is here. The outlet of the pump is this one here, and the inlet to the boiler is this one here. The steam outlet is up the top in the white one here, and this then runs the steam through the pipework into the rig over here. Now we're going to start it up. But first of all, we've got to do some very important checks. First of all, we need to check visually for the pipes for leaks before we've even got any pressure in there. So we have a very small leak, which I've just sorted, which is on the pump outlet tap at the bottom there, which just was a case of pinching it up. At the back here, important to note, this is a sealed item, which is the emergency pressure relief for the boiler should it reach or go over pressure, and that evacuates through the pipe to the outside world. Okay, front control panel is down here. We have the pressure gauge here. We also have here the boiler on off and the engaging of the heater elements here. Power on and a low water warning light, which will sound an alarm should the low water be low and not being refilled. Inside here we have basically the control panel. There is also just under the lid here, which I'll show you in a minute, the basic pressure settings for the element on and off. So that's that. Visual checks. First of all, make sure we've got no leakage anywhere. We'll do the rig checks under initial pressure in just a second. Okay, now with the top removed, we can see the top part of the electric control panel here, the sensors for high and low water and pressure. Here we also have the setting for the required pressure and the interval between the element on and element off. Here's the alarm, which will sound at low water. Nothing else again to look for on here, just a visual inspection of any leakage, which there isn't any. And now we're going to just do our prelim check. So the first thing to do is to blow off using the pump or the boiler blow down valve, which is the one right in the far corner. We open that and water will go into the bucket. This is basically taking out any debris that may be in the boiler, the bottom of the boiler, before we charge it, to make sure that it's drained down. So we're just going to open the top steam valve, and you can hear there the water now flowing in. We'll drain off quite a few litres just to make sure we've got the debris out of the boiler, which is happening now. That should just about do us. So we're now going to shut the valve at the back here to the up position, and we're now going to shut the valve to there. Oh, sorry. We're going to shut the valve, lifting the thing and shutting it. We'll shut the main one at the top there. Water should stop dribbling, which it has. Just give it a minute or two before we take the pipe out into the bucket. And that's that. Okay, lid's now replaced. So we are ready to fire up. First of all, we need to make sure that we just put the date onto our log sheet here, date, and just initial the fact that we've done a visual check. We're going to just do the low water check in just a minute to make sure. I've noted that last time we did it there was a small leak here, and I've put on there it was rectified on that date. just to keep a log of any instances that may occur. Okay, so we're ready to start the machine up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the pump inlet and outlet is open. So the pump inlet to the pump, which is the back there, is open. And we're going to open this one here, which is the pump outlet to the boiler. We're then going to make sure that the mains water tap is here, is turned on. So we're going to turn the water tap on from there, and we're going to turn the main power on from here. We see on the boiler we have power on light sitting there like that. So there we are. So we're now going to turn it on. Pump is going, low water light is also going, and you can hear the audible alarm. The water level is returned to its level, that alarm will go off. There it is, so we're now up to level. Pump will continue for a little while longer. Water is being replaced into the tank at the back. We can now energise, making sure that the steam valve is shut off the machine. We can now energise the elements inside. So the boiler is now heating. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes for it to reach its temperature, at which point the elements energising will go off, and we are prepared then, as you'll see, to evacuate some steam. So we'll come back very shortly. Okay, boiler is heating now, so that's going to take a little while. So what we will do now is just have a quick look around the rig and point out the points of the taps. From the boiler here, steam is travelling in. Beneath it is a smaller tap here, which is basically a condensation exit for the water, any water that may collect in the system. The main rig on-off is for steam is this tap here, that being off and that being on. These are obviously pressure and temperature gauges. Pressure and temperature again. The expander will sit here. The expander, for instance, is this here, like this. I've disconnected it for the moment because we're going to run it through. So the expander will fit. The expander fits to there, like that, and the steam will follow along through more pressures and temperatures, obviously via the expander when it's connected, through here, which is a view, site view, through an exit tap here. That's the steam travel. Above this is the compressed air travel, which comes in here from the compressed air compressor. The main on-off of the compressed air is this gate ball valve here. We run through this machine here, which is the flow meter, into a 1 kilowatt electric heater, out through another tap, through another pressure and temperature, joining here where the steam will come up. So we can actually run compressed air and steam at the same time, should we want to. We know that the pressure of the boiler is set for 5.5 bar, element off, and element comes back on again when it decreases to 1.5 bar. So that's the variance of about 4 bar of pressure. Okay, so we're still waiting for the boiler to come up. Pressure is, believe it or not, starting to rise, but it'll be very slowly. It does take about 15-20 minutes for it to reach operating temperature. Okay, we'll come back in a minute when we're back up to speed. Okay, here we are again. Now it's about 15 minutes has passed, and you can now see that the temperature is approaching 5 bar on the gauge on the boiler. I think for this demonstration purposes we can actually now start running some steam through the system. Firstly, a couple of safety points. The steam will evacuate to the exterior of the building, so it's important to make sure the steam evacuation pipe is there. It's just to make sure the area outside here is clear. And that these pipes, because we're running steam through, it's 130, 140 odd degrees, get very, very hot. Leather gloves, put them on. Believe me, it's very, very warm. Okay, so what we can now do is we'll shut our valve off on our rig, just here. It's been now shut. We'll open the evacuation, and we'll now gradually turn the steam valve to on, very gradually. Now here it starts to pipe through. Just shut off. That's our condensation valve, just to make sure that there's no water in the system. We're now full belt into our rig. So the rig is now under 5 bar of pressure. Drop to about 4 bar on the gauge. It will come up again. So we're now getting into a steady state. So we're now pressurised right the way through to here. And shortly we'll open the valve at the end and allow the steam to run through. The expander isn't connected at this point because it's been lubricated, and I don't want to get it wet for the sake of just for this demonstration purpose. So steam is coming back up again now. Once it gets to the sort of over 3 bar, it does come up very quickly, or come up a lot quicker than it does from start off. So we have our top valve shut. We don't want steam running back through the system here. We're also shut at this end, so because we're not going to use compressed air at this stage. We will evacuate the system after we've used our steam with compressed air, basically to blow any condensation or any water out of the expander itself. We can start to release pressure through the system now by undoing our end valve, which it is. Now we'll start to undo our main rig valve. We can hear the steam now start to run through. And there she goes. Pressure dropping again on the machine. We're now running steam through the system. We can see that we've got 2 stages in our spyglass. We've got water and air running through, showing that we're wet. Outside of the building, our steam is gradually coming out. It's evacuating a bit of water left in the pipe. That's why we don't want to start it off by blowing it too high first of all. Otherwise it will blow that water high. Okay, it's a fairly warm day today, so we're not getting a great deal of condensation. We can now increase our pressure to maximum. Our sight glass is heavy. Our steam outside. Up in the griddle. This will go for a few minutes. We can now just do, using this, we can now just do a couple of pressure, sort of temperature checks. We know that's not good. .36 is showing on. Pressure's dropped down to 0, or virtually 0. So we're now just going to reduce our steam and allow our boiler to come back to pressure again. So we'll turn it off there. And we'll also shut the main valve from the boiler to shut. Just check outside again, make sure Everything's fine. Everything's fine there. So that will show how to operate the steam. We're going to let that build up one more time. I'll just run it one more time, and then what we'll do is we'll shut it down, vacate the boiler, vacate the rig, and run compressed air through. Okay, back again. We're now going to try and run the machine or the system at as near steady state as we can. We haven't got any pressures and temperatures connected yet, but we'll try and do it with the gauge opening the steam valve very slowly to fill the system, let the pressure come back up again, and then slowly open the valve here to allow the steam to run through the system at hopefully what it's creating it in the boiler down here. Okay, let's got my glove on. Let's open the main tap. Let's now pressurise the system, as you can hear. Do it slowly so there's no thermal shock. A little leak now appeared. Right, we are now at 5 bar. We'll now open the valve slowly. To start with. Slightly more, could have gone now slightly above 5 bar. Maybe it's a little bit further. Maintaining, I'm just a little bit above 5 bar again, so we'll open a little bit further. Temperature is still marginally above 5 bar. Yeah, just a little bit more. The rig is heating up now. Pressure is maintained now just above 5 bar. We'll let the system run now for 5 minutes until you can see where we are. The system's now running stable at 5 bar on the dial. I've just made a mark on the tap so that we know roughly whereabouts we are. Quick look in the sight glass. Steady flow. Quick look outside, make sure everything's fine. I think everything's puffing away. There she is. Now running steady, pretty steady state, I'd imagine. Okay, we're now beginning the shutdown, so I've turned off the heating elements on the machine. The steam will run out now as it goes through the system. We're just going to open our condensed trap just to make sure we're clearing water that's going through the system. Let's check outside again, make sure everything's tickety tick. And it certainly is. Pressure is now dropping on our machine. We're down to about 2.5 bar now. We'll open the machine fully up and vacate the steam down the boiler from there. Pressure is now dropping virtually off completely. In fact, you can hear it now. Slowly but surely she's slowing down. Side glass. Bit of condensation on the pipe. Pump is coming back on because obviously she's running short of water. We'll let her pump ourselves back up, that's fine. Pressure is slowly dropping off. Don't forget, pipes are still very, very hot. That's now running all the way down. We'll now turn off the boiler itself from there. So as you can see now the power is still on, but the boiler effectively is off. The system is now coming slowly down. Once that's done, we're going to turn on the compressor, and then we'll run compressed air through the system, basically to evacuate any water that may condensated water which may have occurred in the expander or basically along the system. We'll just make sure we've got no more water in the system. Let that drop down. That's it, system getting less and less now. That's fine. We'll go through a shutdown procedure, which will basically mean we have to turn off the water from here. We turn off the power to the boiler from here. Boiler is now off, as you can see. Pressure is dropping. We will leave the valve, main steam valve, open as we will leave the main system valves open through the system. And there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Be safe.